Thank you. I'd like to call. We're waiting on David.
Nope, not me.
All right. I'd like to call our regular scheduled meeting for November 4th to order.
Call the roll, Mr. Genowine.
Here.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney's absent. Simcoe present.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
I'll offer them as presented.
Second?
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes. John, I didn't see any.
Nobody signed
additions
in. No additions or
no
deletions, and I have
speakers?
none.
Okay. And no items from the public? Zoning Department.
Good evening. I just have one item. It's Resolution 15137, authorization to file legal action in the Lucas County Common Pleas Court to enforce the zoning resolution. This is in regards to the property at 2643 Christie Lynn Lane. I believe the trustees are familiar with this property, or more so the complainant of this property. Multiple letters have been sent, and including the permit application, and the property owner has not acknowledged them or filed an appeal with the Board of Zoning Appeals. So I would like to pass this along to Mr. Burrell for his review.
Did you get a copy of that letter? I know we did, the trustees.
Yes, that's the only acknowledgement he's given of.
That didn't change your.
No, because he still didn't file for an appeal with the BZA.
What is this? I mean, looking at his response, where do we, what's our response or answer to what he's saying there?
Any building or structure constructed on a property, whether it's permanent or temporary, needs to have a zoning permit. So he's still, whatever these things are that he's building in his driveway, supposedly to take out to Colorado, I'm not sure if that's.
Let me make a motion to approve before we discuss.
Do you have any pictures or?
Yeah, I thought I'd sent those on to the trustees, perhaps not.
Did you see them?
No, I didn't get any pictures. Well, we probably ought to.
I mean, I don't want to
pass
slow the
a
process
resolution
down, but I
before
do
we
think,
discuss it.
I mean, he did have I just read the letter before the meeting this evening.
Well, I think his claim is that those materials are not for that site. Do I remember the letter?
Right, but
Yeah. I know.
that's regardless.
So
The
he's still
zoning
got a bunch
resolution
of materials
states.
in the driveway.
Right, he's still constructing something on the property.
Well, I'll move to Resolution 15137 to authorize file legal action in Common Pleas Court to enforce the zoning resolution.
Second.
Calling the roll,
Not-
Mr.
Well, I wanted to get the motion before we discussed it, Dave.
Okay.
Now, if we want to have a discussion on it, I think his defense was those materials are for another property, right?
Right.
Is that the way you interpreted it?
Does he have a time frame when he'll be moving them to the other property, or?
He hasn't given that.
Okay.
Didn't we have people in here about a year ago on this same?
Right. You're familiar with the complainant, Mr.
Yeah.
Hendricks.
So the materials have been there over a year in my mind. That's
Okay, we've got a motion. Call the roll, Mr. Crandall.
yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darrell. Next up, Fire Department Chief, do you have anything, trustees?
No, I think
Trustees, do you have
the agenda calls. He's cutting you out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking this way. Rob, it's all yours.
Good evening. I submitted the October monthly report for your review. Primarily, October consisted of preparing for leaf pickup repair the leaf trucks and the leaf loaders, inspection, and reconstruction of some of those. We did increase the staffing by 9 for our temporary help to assist us with the leaf pickup. We have conducted 2 cycles to this date through the township to include all the areas that are normally picked up by the contractors. We have picked up 2 cycles total, which is about 168 loads, truckloads, roughly 3,528 cubic yards of leaves in those trucks. We completed our final yearly roadside mowing, right-of-way mowing, and I went to a ODOT District 2 Winter Symposium, and I think you may have saw that on your weekly report, what that was about. And Steve Kessler, our road foreman, he participated in a work zone traffic safety control class that was put on by ODOT down in Columbus. We did have some contracted work. We had approximately 23 ash trees removed in the Woodstream West subdivision. If you recall, about 5 years ago, we had a push for the ash borer tree removal in that area. The remaining residents whose trees had finally succumbed to the disease requested it, and we provided that tree removal for them. And as you're aware, the Burnaby drainage project is going well. It's about 95% complete. In the service department, they primarily focused on the inspections and repair of the leaf loaders. As you can see there, they also had quite a few miscellaneous repairs. And then they supported with Al the fire department's pump testing. That's about all I have. Any questions?
Any questions for that?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Looks
Thanks,
like
Rob.
the leaves are hanging on a little bit this year, huh?
Sure are.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Wait, the first snow. Chief, do you have anything for the trustees? Anything for the police department? Chief, do you have anything for the trustees? Okay, then move on to administrator. I have nothing. Fiscal officer, Mr. Simcoe.
I'll make up for the moving along here in our meeting since I've got several resolutions, but first is 15-130. It's a transfer appropriation. Basically moves money into the salary and benefits accounts for our 27th payroll. Remember, last time we talked about normally there's 26 payrolls. Every periodically you have a 27th payroll in a year, so we're moving monies to address what we'll have to do toward the end of December.
I'll move approval of Resolution 15-130, transfer of appropriations.
Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And next resolution is 15-131. It's transfer appropriations again. And it moves money to cover other miscellaneous line items that we kind of have to attend to. It's small amounts of money, and it's just kind of moving where some accounts are running a little bit short, but it's within the budget. We're not adding new monies here, to this.
I'll offer resolution 15-131, transfer of appropriations.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
The next is 15-132, appropriations from unencumbered balance, and it's to increase the amount transferred from fire operation to fire capital. Additional funds required for firefighter, the 27th pay for firefighters, and increase advance out so we can return funds from bulletproof vest grant to the police fund.
I'll move Resolution 15-132.
Second.
Calling the roll, Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
And Resolution 15-133, it's an advancement of funds, an advance of fund, moves money from the fire fund to the new ambulance and emergency service fund.
Is there a specific purpose for that, or just?
Well, since we're getting that thing started, roughly the first of the year, we're just opening up some accounts and getting some money into them. This is what it is, this guy, yeah?
Yeah, we wanted to just send out some purchase orders towards the end of the year, so we're advancing money into that fund. And then the next resolution will start the appropriations. And then, there's kind of a lag in most of the operation.
Yeah, but it's not specific to an item purchase, or that's what I was asking.
No,
Or maybe
you'll see in the next resolution that it will be appropriated in several different line items.
Okay.
Keep that ongoing.
All right, I'll move Resolution 15133, advance of funds.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Resolution 15-134, and that's an appropriation from unencumbered balance, appropriates the money for the new ambulance fund.
I'll offer Resolution 15-134, appropriations from unencumbered balance.
Sorry. Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
And Resolution 15-135, it's return of advanced funds and money. It returns the money from the bulletproof grant fund to the police fund. That's a small number there. Yeah, $600.
I'll move Resolution 15135, return of advance funds.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
And lastly, it's 15-136, a transfer of fund. Transfer the proceeds from the sale of abandoned vehicle from the general fund to the police fund. Sold an abandoned vehicle there for $900, right? A little over $900.
I'll move Resolution 15136, transfer of funds.
Second.
Calling the roll, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
I had one more thing to raise with the trustees, and we have issued bonds to fund our fire stations that we built back in 2008, and that's when the bonds were issued. And we kind of periodically it takes us till 2030 to pay these things off, to fund these fire stations that we rebuilt and renovated. And in looking at the interest rates on them, we've taken a look at refinancing these bonds and that. And so we've looked at it, and we find that over the course of the next 15 years, which is going to take us to pay them off to get 2030, if we refinanced them, we could save about $180,000. That would be our net savings. That would include the payment of costs of the brokers or whoever has to sell these bonds. Now, it's only $12,000 a year, but I suppose when you look at it over the next 15 years, it turns out to $180,000. And so I thought I'd pursue this a little bit more. It's going to take some resolutions by the trustees, so you'll have the ultimate, authority to approve it. But my thought is that it's worth the money that we would expend to do this, because again, we would net out a savings of $180,000 over the course of 15 years. It works out to about $12,000 a year. So I thought we should take advantage of it and continue to pursue it and look at it. But we'll probably be bringing some resolutions to you guys about this. So just a heads up.
What rate are we at now currently?
I don't exactly remember. What are we?
I didn't bring that with me, but it's each year the certificates have a different interest rate, and then you get towards the end of the bond issue, they're up in 4.5%. So those are the ones where you get the savings, where you can reissue them at like 2% or less. A couple of those.
Okay. Who's the broker we're using?
Santo, Steve, I think. I can't
We
think.
used him initially.
We used him
Yeah,
initially.
he was the initial,
He's done bond work for like the county and others, and he did it for us. And we were actually pleased with his efforts. I remember him being here, us working with him. I don't know if you were you on the? Yeah. John. And I thought he did a good job, and he's the one who we've been talking to about this.
Sounds good.
Since this involves the fire budget or the stations, I'd like to get, when you come back with a recommendation, my first thought, Chief, would be to put it in our equipment budget looking long-term, but I'll leave that to you. But I'd like to, rather than just say we can save some money and it's in the fire fund, I think I'd like to have it considered that it goes to capital.
Designated
rather
for
than
something.
operating. But I'll leave it to you. I may be wrong, but I'd like to, when you do come back, Dave and Scott, if you could touch base with the chief
Okay,
and see if we can earmark
okay,
where those funds go.
okay.
Anything, John? Any other matters for open
No,
discussion?
I don't have anything else.
Are you done, Dave?
Yep, I'm done.
And nobody signed in for
Right,
non-agenda items.
okay.
So the next item is the executive session, and it's for personnel, it's benefits for all departments.
And I'll move to go into executive session at 5:17.
Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. Do we anticipate action, John? There. You ready? Dave's not ready. He's holding us up tonight.
Sammy, you going, Sammy?
We're ready?
Your game.
Okay, we're coming out of executive session. I'll call our meeting, executive session over at 5:55.
You made a motion to come out,
Motion.
John, and John just, yeah. We're calling the roll, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. I'll move Resolution 15-138 to accept and approve the Sylvania Township Health Insurance Committee recommendation.
Second.
Calling the roll, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. I'll make a motion to adjourn at 5:56.
Second.
Calling the roll, Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
We're adjourned.
Sammy, good luck.